All right, guys. So we're here at MCACN 2023, and we're if you know what the car is, you know that this is a '69 Rambler. We're joined here by the owner. Can you tell us who you are, a little about yourself, and your car here?
Hello, my name is Marty. This is my 1969 AMC SC Rambler. So the car was originally born a B scheme, which there are two different paint schemes for these cars. This car now currently is considered the A scheme, where it's really bright, uses the red, the white, and then it has the blue stripe across the top. Originally, as built, this car was actually one of only 297 that was the much more subdued B scheme, which is an all-white car with just a thin blue stripe and a thin red stripe at the bottom. You can actually see evidence of it down on the rocker here. You can see the old blue from when it was a B scheme. So I dug this car out of the back of a lean-to in Flemington, New Jersey, which is in central New Jersey, and got it home and realized how absolutely horribly rotten it was. Ended up putting a frame rail in the front corner all the way across the core support to this inner fender here. I was able to save the driver's side frame, which in an AMC is important because there's a hidden VIN number back behind the steering box here. So
I don't know how good it showed there, but
yeah, when you're trying to verify an AMC that's a semi-important or a rarer car, it's always good to check behind the steering box and make sure the steering box matches the VIN on the dash, because the dash on most AMCs is completely removable. So the VIN number is swappable basically infinitely. So the only way to really know is the secret VIN.
You said you've put a frame rail in this. What all else have you done to this car?
So originally when I bought it, it had a junk 343. It would have came with a 390, which is what's in it now. The 390 came with the car when I bought it, but it was used up. So I ended up, originally my plan when I bought this car was to do some kind of nostalgia super stock racing with it. And then I realized how rotten it was.
I'm gonna show them an interior shot while you're talking. What is that awesome shifter in your floor there?
That's a AMC Hearst ramrod. Hearst made those for approximately 3 years, I believe, in the early 70s, before they basically stopped making them because they sold so many more Vertigates. The Mr. Gasket Vertigate, the ramrod was a much more expensive, much more complicated shifter, and they only made those for a few years. That's the AMC specific one, which is kind of hard to find. I looked into a new old stock one and made it not new old stock because these parts were made to be used. And so I had built the 390 originally. It's a 13-to-1 compression, the biggest Lunati flat tappet solid cam that they make. It's got the cross ram on it with two Holley 4224s.
We'll show that off again here.
Which are mechanical secondary 50cc single pumper center square carburetors. I like using period speed parts. I think the period speed parts from the time are what these cars get and what these cars deserve. It's the factory original, actually, T10 transmission for this car. AMC used a Borg-Warner T10, but it was kind of specific just for AMC. It's not a super T10, it's a cast iron housing T10. Then it's an AMC Model 20 rear, which is an 8 7/8 ring gear AMC built rear. It's not a Chevy 12 bolt. It's not a Dana 20. Everybody likes saying, oh, AMC likes stealing parts from other manufacturers. It was true later on. It was much less true now. Most of these parts were AMC specific, other than stuff like carburetors they would get from other manufacturers, like most of these OEMs. So it's got 444s in the rear with a locker in it, and I finished it just in time for this show and got it running and driving enough to where I brought it in here.
So what you're saying is you've got burnout gears in a car that you moderately care about, just enough to beat on it.
Yes, and a car that may in fact break in half if I do beat on it too far. Because when the car was mini-tubbed in the 70s, the guy that did it in a backyard in Long Island fiberglassed in everything that he needed to make it hold together. And
he's not lying about that either. He showed me that Friday night when we first met him.
I accidentally jokingly put my thumb through the floor, through the fiberglass that was holding the floor together. So she's a rough girl. She lived a long, hard life. Spent most of its life in New York City and Long Island, and most of the real bad rot happened when it was out on Long Island. It sat under what I think was a bunch of pine trees, because there were pine needles everywhere in this thing when I started cutting it apart. And I think it just sat and the trees just rotted it out, and it's all there.
Poor thing got a little crusty in its life. I mean,
yeah, the scoop got stolen out of the hood at one point, but it's still alive.
it is. And it runs, it drives. It's got a friggin' inline 4-speed in it, and it's got cool trunk on it.
So that sticker was put on I was able to get in touch with some of the older owners through kind of luck. And one of the kids that bought it was in 1985, he was 16 years old, bought this and learned how to drive stick shift on it, got it home to Astoria, Queens, where he lived, and put that sticker on the back. And I talked to him, and he said that was the dumbest thing I ever could have done as a 16-year-old kid, because all anybody ever wanted to do, anywhere I went, was race me. Because I'm already in a loud car that's mini tub, putting that on the back was just an invitation. So he
Just asking for it.
just asking for it. But
See how good we can see your tires you got under here. Got the meats.
I'm here having fun, and that's what I think these cars are for, is to have fun.
Got anything else you want to add?
No, I think I'm good.
Well, guys, if you like AMCs, especially if you just like anything fun, be sure to drop a like, leave a comment. That way this gets boosted in the algorithm. I guess I'll see everybody around. Hell yeah!